Hi, this is Everett's Watercolors. Welcome to my classroom. Now today I'm going to show you how I painted two strawberries. But also I'm going to show you a little design plan that I did. I actually designed a grid so I could get that strawberry looking more realistic. Also when I mix my colors, I'm going to show you how I match those to the actual painting. And that way you can check your own colors. So I'm going to take you all the way through from start to finish and show you my painting process. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified of the next video. Share it with your friends. I know you're going to enjoy the process I'm showing you here today, so let's go over to my painting table and let's get started. Okay, today I'm going to do a painting using these strawberries. And the nice thing about this is I have a shape here of this shape here of this strawberry, and one over here is second strawberry, and also the leaves, the green leaves. This is a sketch I made of those strawberries, and I've also darkened it in with a pen so that you can see what I'm doing. Now, one thing in my design here, I looked at the texture of the strawberry, the shapes, and what I see here, I see a grid, and so I drew a grid in with a pencil, and then I located these little areas that are lighter. So that's how I designed this particular painting. It was number one, look at the details of the strawberry, and then I went ahead and created a grid, what I think is a grid of these shapes. Let me go over my materials. I have a piece of 140 pound plain watercolor paper. This is Gemini watercolor paper, 140 pound, cold press. That's going to be the one I'm going to use my test colors on. And I have this pad which I'm going to paint on. This pad is a 8x10, but it's also tinted with it's a 140 pound watercolor, but it's also tinted like a pink. So I'm going to experiment tonight to see how that shows up. I think with a pink color along with the red strawberry, I want to see how it works out. So this is a really experimental piece of paper. Now what I did in preparation here on the painting paper is I've gone ahead and transferred the sketch onto the painting paper, and I actually indicated the grid that I have on there. And then the first step I did, my material, I'm going to use a round brush, a medium round brush. I'm going to use also a half inch flat natural hair. And then I use masking fluid. This is my mask pen. And what I did is I went in and I put in those areas that look like little dots, but I put the dots in here along with that pattern, that little grid I wrote. I put the pattern in there. Now let me pull this up close so maybe you can see this. Again, I'll see if this works. I'll bring it up, and you can see the drawing and also where I put the masking fluid. That's preparation for this. And I also put a little bit of masking fluid. There's the light areas over here on this part of the straw. This open strawberry has been cut open. I'll also put a little bit of masking to save some of that white lighter paper over here. First thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to mix up the colors I need. And looking at this color here, that looks like a little reddish orange. It's got red, but it's also got an orange flavor to it. And this one back here, of course, is all red. And then I have green, I have a darker green back here, and I have a yellow green here. So those are the colors I'm going to be preparing. Pyrrole red in the palette. And then I'm going to put mix a little bit of orange in with that to give me that orange red color. I also see a little bit of yellow. But I'm washing out the brush. Every time I change the color, I'm washing out the brush. I'll put a little yellow down there. Very light yellow. What I do is lighten up the color by adding a lot of water to that yellow. On this back strawberry, I want to make sure it's really dark, so I'm going to add more color red up here. That's going to be the darkest color I have. And also I'm thinking that in order to give me some variety, I'm also going to use opera, a very light red, but that's going to be the first coat I put down. So those are the colors. And then I can also mix my greens. I've got the yellow down here. A little bit of green number 1. I'll put that down there just again, I like to spread the colors out of what I'm going to use in the painting. Have them all ready to go. And a little bit of Hooker's green. So those are the colors of my palette that I'm going to use. Orange, Pyrrole red, a little bit of opera, yellow lemon, green number 1, and Hooker's green. I think I'll start with this forward strawberry. I'm going to start with that orange red. Also, what I'm going to do, and it's always a good idea to do this, is have a piece of test paper. And look at that. That matches exactly what I wanted. A little orange red. Oh, that's perfect. You bring it over to, I brought it right over to the picture, and I can see that color is going to work. So I'll take that and I'll go ahead and put that in that area there. And as I go out toward the edge, I see a little redder color, so I'm going to put that color in there. So that orange red mixed in, and then a little bit of, I'm leaving a little bit of white paper showing because I can come back and always add more color later. Okay. And what I want to do now, before I leave this, I want to go and make sure I have a nice sharp edge. So I use a flat brush with a corner and the edge. I have a design line. I know the shape I want to follow. Now remember, always the watercolor, the paint's going to dry 40% lighter. So what I want to do here now is I see this is red here also on the bottom. So I'm going to add a little more red. While it's still wet, I can add that color in. So I'll pick up red on my brush and add that to that area. And a little more red up here. Now that's kind of a blocking in stage where I got the basic colors and so forth. I'll come back later maybe and make some adjustments to that. Now I'm going to let that dry a little bit, maybe about 10 minutes. Let the paint set and let it dry for a minute before I paint the other section. Okay, I let that dry for a few minutes, about 10 minutes dry. Make sure the paint is dry so I don't paint over that. That turned out really nice. I'm really happy with that right now. So let's get to the second strawberry. I think the first step is to put down a light layer. I see light and dark, so I'm going to put the light layer in first. So I'm going to take the peacock. Now I don't want it real pink, so I'm going to mix in a little bit of the Pyrrole red. Now let's check that color. And before you put it down on the paper, you want to check your color because you might not be happy with it once you put it on. So you take a little test sheet here. Yeah, that's fine. It's going to be a little rosy red color, but that'll be the light color in there because there's a light and dark section here. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put the lighter color on first. So I'm putting in a light layer. I mean, watercolor is very easy to work with once you learn the steps because you can always go darker. Start with a lighter value, in this case a lighter, because I see lighter colors on there. So I'm going to start with a lighter value of red, and I use the opera mixed in with a little bit of Pyrrole, because I didn't want it to be pink. I wanted it to be a little bit rosy. So I added the red on top of the opera. And I tested it out on my test sheet. So now I'm going to make sure I have the edges nice and clean. the shape. Again, I'm following my design drawing. The masking fluid is protecting those the little areas, the little dots that are on the skin of a. And remember, I'm using a pink tinted paper, so those dots will look a little, I don't know, a light color, even lighter. The next step, let this one dry a little bit. It'd be about 10 minutes to let this one dry. Let the paint set before I put the next layer on. Okay, the back strawberry is now dry and it's light. Now the next stage is going to be, I'm going to put in the dark area behind to separate these two, this dark area. But then I'm going to leave the light area and I'm going to show it with two brushes. And there's also a dark area back here. So the light area really is down this section here is a lighter area. It's dark here and it's also dark back here. But it's also got a soft edge. Now, when you do a soft edge, I'm going to use two brushes. I'm going to use a round brush with a lot of water and just a very little paint. A little bit of that Pyrrole mixed in with a little bit of that opera. Just a light color. And that's my light color. The 1/2 inch flat brush, I'm going to pick up the darker red, the real strawberry red. So I'll mix a much darker mix here. So now I really have two brushes now, one with a dark mix and one with a light mix or very, very little paint at all. And I'm going to start down here next to here. This is the dark area right behind this first section. Using the corner of the brush of the flat. Again, I can get a very nice sharp edge with a flat brush. This is natural hair, so it comes down to a very sharp edge on the brush. So I could do the whole thing with this, but I like to use both brushes because it gives me a little more flexibility sometimes. And then I pick up the second brush with just a little bit of water in it, and I'm going to blend that edge because I don't want it's not a sharp edge, it's a gradual shift of value from dark to middle to light. So that second brush with just more light paint in it is going to give me that lighter value, and it will also give me the value I'm looking for without the sharp edge. Okay, this last part over here, because it's falling into the form now, it's going to be dark back here because this area is away from the light. So it's going to have a darker value falling off into give me the depth. It's called blending. You blend the edges with a damp brush or with another brush with less paint in it, and you blend the edges. Okay, now I'm going to let that dry. I have one more step, which will be the green leaves. Okay, now this part here is the cleanup. The finished part would be painting the leaves. I'm going to start with the lighter one over here on this forward section. So I'll start with the mixing again a yellow lemon. Mix in a little bit of green number 1, and that's going to be the lightest color. And I pick up a little Hooker's green, and that'll give me a little variety of that color. So I'm really mixing those colors right on the paper, because I got the yellow green mix, yellow green number 1 mix, and on top of that I'm adding a little bit of the darker green, so I get a combination of those colors, a variety. Following a drawing, I did my drawing, my design drawing, so I'm just following my sketch that I have on the paper. And adjusting the colors here while the paint is still wet. I can take a color there and just drop it in there, add that color on top, and it gives me that variety of that color. Okay. Kind of playing around lights and darks. The leaf patterns over here are much darker, so I can use more of the Hooker's green, but I don't like to use the color right out of the tube. So what I'll do is I'll introduce a little bit of burnt sienna in with that. I like to mix those colors so that they aren't so pure. They're in the palette. The palette colors are beautiful, but they're also very rich and really unnatural. You don't see greens like this, especially here on this particular item. They got a color to them. They got a greenish look, a little brownish look, maybe a little bluish look. So you want to introduce those to your brush. I'm mixing on the paper. There's a Hooker's green. Just put a little stroke in there. Then on top of that, I'm going to put a little bit of the burnt sienna, just to give me a color change, a variety of color. So it's not all the same. Back here, again, a little more. In some cases, I'll put a little more burnt sienna and less green. Give me a variety of proportion of color. More green, less brown, more brown, less green. Now looking at giving a variety of color on those shapes. So here's just a little more, it's a little detail here, but look, it actually boils down. There's 3 elements here. I've got that forward section, which is lighter, the strawberry that's been sliced. Then I have the back strawberry, which is going to be darker. And then I have the leaves. So I have really 3 elements in this painting. It gives it a nice variety of shapes and a nice artistic concept of having 3 elements to look at. I'll pick up a little more burnt sienna, finish this off. And while I'm here, I might want to put just a touch of that brown into here, so it's not all green. Now I'm going to let that dry, because the next stage is really to take the masking fluid off and then take a look at it. Now that's right. And what I'm going to do one last thing. I see the values here a little bit darker, so I'm going to add another layer on top. This is the first layer. So the second layer, I'm going to use the same color, a little bit of that red orange, a little bit redder. This is a little bit redder down here, this section right in here. And I'll have my second brush ready in case I need to blend out. So I have two brushes. So I'm going to go back in and add another layer right here at the bottom, a little rich, a little darker value. And then take my, what I'll call it now, I'll call it my blending brush, but it's just a brush. Now I just have water in it, just water, a wet, damp brush. And that keeps me, I don't want to have any hard edges here, so this is a very soft variation. Okay. And then I'm going to add some more red up on this edge. So I'm adding a second layer to it, give me a richer color, a darker color. And then use the blending brush. It's my round brush with just water in it, and I just use that to blend the edges so it's a soft edge. The strawberry, this is the strawberry behind, I'm going to make that a little bit darker. Another color, another layer on top of this back one here. And the blending brush with just water in it, just water to soften out those edges. And then one more stroke back here, adding a little more color to show the shape behind. Just a damp brush, soften that edge. Now we're going to let that dry. Okay, let that dry. Now the last stage, I'm going to take a rubber cement pickup and I'm going to take the, whoa, whoa, look at that. Those are the little marks on the surface of the strawberry. That's what I was waiting to see. You know what? Sometimes when you do this, you don't know what it's going to look like until you're finished. And then also remember I said I had some masking fluid over here on this section to save some of the whites. And that masking fluid, you use your other hand to test, and you'll feel it on the paper when you take it off. Voila, there's my two strawberries. I like what happened here. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and select the bell to be notified of my next video, and share with your friends. See you in the next video.